So just us so far.
Well, let's call the meeting to order,
Okay.
and hopefully David will show up here in a little bit at 6 p.m. Is there a motion to approve the October minutes?
I move to approve the October minutes.
Second. Motion carries.
No, we gotta vote. We still have to vote. All those in
Oh,
favor?
all those in favor.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we got 3. Any changes to the agenda? Good, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, pretty simple. I
want to
like
get
simple.
through the Shoreland thing to move on the website, and let's call it a day. I do have one thing I can report on in a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Any public comments?
I don't see any.
Nope.
We're popular today, aren't we? Usually, I can't remember her name.
Missy?
Missy?
Is that her name? Yeah.
And usually Missy shows
Yeah.
up. Okay, so hopefully, David will show up. I mean, we can vote on this
Yeah.
if we want to. But let's just work through it. There's a couple key areas. I mean, I don't think we have to be precise because it'll go. Andy, if you want,
The
it'll go to
planning
the
commission.
Planning commission.
and-
Oh, there's David.
Yeah. Cool.
It'll go to the planning commission. Yeah.
Just a quick recap of how we got, I mean, Tom put all this together, did a great job. He and I got together, a couple of weeks ago. And really the intent, we're not really changing any of our regulations. We're just putting further clarifications in as to where other permits may be required. I mean, that was the major focus here. I think we did a little bit of tweaking as we went through, but
that was the major.
that was the main focus. So just keep that in mind as we go through this tonight.
And I mean, a couple of things that, I mean, our continued focus is shoreline protection. I thought I saw David pop in, but maybe it was somebody else.
No, it's me.
Oh, there he is.
Okay.
Yeah, I
all right,
just
so
went off
you-
camera so you don't have to look at me.
Well, you're just on the little tiny screen tonight, so no big deal.
It's appreciated.
There you go. So David, what I'm putting up is that, let's call it the summary sheet. It starts with 4 goals: shoreline protection, protect the town with implied due diligence, protect residents from future liabilities due to shoreline protection, and use state resources. So we're just kind of going through the updated or the proposed changes to the North Hero Development Regulations. Do you need me to send you the document?
It would be helpful.
Okay, let me do that. Oh, yeah.
And did you hear my brief summary a couple minutes ago, David? Of what we
No,
were trying to-
sorry, Andy, I
Okay, no.
joined at 6:01.
You talk and I'll work. on
Yeah,
sending it.
yeah, Tom and I got together a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, I heard that. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, that's all. So, I mean, we're just focused on, spelling out where additional permitting may be required. So that's the major focus.
Let's see. All right, it's on its way.
Where are you today, David?
I'm in New York.
Okay.
I thought you were in Spain for the rest of the year.
That was the plan, but we've had a little bit of a family shit show here.
Hmm.
Chris's brother passed away and his mother fell and broke her hip and had emergency
Oh,
surgery. Yeah, we've had our hands full.
Yeah, I guess so. Sorry to hear that.
Thanks.
So while you're waiting for that, David, I'll just
I got
kind of
it.
talk through some of this early stuff.
He got it.
Okay, good. I mean, there is a reference section at the beginning of the development regs. I thought items 8 and 9 were a bit outdated, so I just updated them with what I know.
Mhm.
There is a homeowner's guide booklet, Share the Edge, a guide for lakeshore property owners in Vermont. There's shoreline best management practices. I guess I could add the links to these if necessary, or I could print them out.
Again, this is gonna be part of our development regulations, right? Yeah, and I think it'd be nice to, wherever possible, actually have the links.
Fine, I can put the links
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
And DEC has shoreline best management practices for infiltration steps. I just completed some of those. Infiltration trench, I actually did one of those. A vegetative buffer did one of those too. We're working on natural plant communities, turnouts and rock aprons, haven't done one of those. Water bar, dry wells, did a rain garden, and then a vegetated swell. There's also the Vermont Lakewise Program Native Plant List. That's kind of updated from what I saw in the development regs. A guide to healthy lakes using lakeshore landscaping design templates and easy to use planting guides.
Who's this from?
DEC.
Okay, yeah.
Wherever possible.
Yeah.
I use DEC resources, so we don't
Perfect.
have to change language or go to attorneys or
Right.
any of that stuff.
Yeah, good.
There is a final version of the Vermont Bioengineering Manual. This is really shoreline stuff. For lakeshore contractors and homeowners. It's up to you, Andy. The special flood hazard overlay map, there really isn't a good one.
No, there is a good one coming, just a question of when. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was supposed to have come last year.
Cause Saint Lamont is putting together their town plan now. And they don't have bylaws or anything.
No,
And they actually have a nice contour map in their bylaws.
better than ours.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Where did they get it?
I don't know. I saw it and I was like, well, we must have one of these. And
It might be that Isle of Mont got theirs before we got ours.
I mean, it was in color. and-
Yeah. No, we've still got the 1982 version.
Yeah. So this one is interesting, the shoreland certification. Because I asked around, like we discussed, Andy.
Mhm.
Misha's only seen a handful of them. They are not required by the state.
Okay,
And I don't know why I have one, because like maybe my attorney just is good
Yeah.
about shoreland and is like, hey, you need to be protected.
yeah.
That's
Um,
exactly the case.
You're talking about when you bought it?
When I
That
bought the house,
certificate That you sent us, yes, okay.
the
Yeah.
sellers were required to sign a shoreland certification saying they've made no changes to.
And the
Impervious.
question is, who required them to furnish that? Was it your realtor, your lawyer? It had to be one of those.
It would have
two.
been my lawyer.
Yeah,
So I did
So-
some deep dives on this and spoke to a couple of real estate agents. And what I learned was that this is not required by anybody. And that some lawyers that, operate with kind of better due diligence, request this. It is absolutely not a requirement. And I spoke to 2 real estate agents where the sellers refused to sign it and the transaction, went forward without that. So this is really just kind of a best practice that's put in place by really diligent lawyers that are doing good due diligence, and that's the end of it.
yeah.
And I mean, I'm trying to sit here and say, okay, so they signed it, great. Let's just say there was an infraction. In theory, DEC can come to a past infraction
Mhm.
and enforce it. So if they had signed that, the sellers are responsible. And my question is, if they didn't sign it, they're still responsible.
I get-
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, theoretically, they are. If they did something in violation of the Shoreland Protection Act while they own the house. Although I don't know, does that get transferred to the new owners?
Yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's anything we wanna dip our toes into.
So I guess the question is, should this be in here or not?
I would say
I'd say
not.
the answer is no.
I would say no.
Because I thought it was a requirement.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one that asked it.
Yeah, we also asked Danielle about it, not that she's been in the job for a whole long time, but she's never seen one of those.
So I already see one here. So I did propose including, at least something in the zoning flow chart to show residents that, you know, you do want to pay attention to Shoreline Protection Act, wetlands, lake encroachment. Actually, Andy, because flood hazard is covered in several places throughout, I don't think we need a reference to flood hazard. and it
No, I
is in
don't,
the
yeah,
back.
we've got a whole section dedicated to flood hazard.
So that technically
yeah.
can be cut out.
Yeah,
But I guess it's up to the group if you think this is a valuable thing to have in here.
yeah, the one thing you don't have that could impact some properties is, stormwater management. Or stormwater permits, some, like I know, Shore Acres, when they did their expansion, they had to get a stormwater permit from the state, so.
Can you explain that? No, this is interesting.
No, it's got to do with, I don't know the details, but it's because they were dealing with more than 10 acres, I believe, is where it kicked in, but. So I don't think it's applied on,
Most developments have to have that.
if it's a development,
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure.
If it's just a, single property on a 2 acre lot, no, but.
No,
So would you like stormwater? I
It
can't.
wouldn't hurt to put it in, yeah, so take out special flood hazard and put in, stormwater. Yeah,
That's, I can do that.
cause I think you'll find later on as we go through this, that when we get to the stormwater section, we do have a reference to the fact that a stormwater permit may be required, so we may as well show it here.
So this statement, I tried to come up with a statement. Andy reviewed it. And it shows up about 3 or 4 times throughout. And the goal was to try and make a standard statement that where necessary in the regs, you just simply repeat it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what we did before, David.
Yeah.
We had that statement up above.
yeah,
And repeated it several times.
Right.
He's just really, it's kind of the same statement, it's just a little more specific.
It adds the Army Corps.
Right.
The wetlands.
Yeah.
This could just be a carryover, special flood hazard area and other local, state or federal jurisdictions.
No, I think that just actually says better what we intended to say with the one you crossed out.
And then there is a reference to well, you had that before, but this is updated again.
Yeah.
So I did update the shoreline.
I'm not sure we actually had the links in there before, we may have. But anyway,
So wordsmithing changes.
I haven't had a chance to read it, so I'll look through it. But
So-
I do have a question, which is maybe more of a conceptual question, which is do we have a point of view about the sequencing of state permits and local permits?
that's pretty much, yeah, yes, we do. Danielle can't sign a local permit until the state permit's in place. Well, that's pretty
And
simple.
do we have that in our bylaws, Andy?
that's a good question. I don't know.
I think it's a reference in there somewhere, but it's absolutely on our building permit application.
So
Okay,
the
so Andy-
reason I don't believe it's referenced here, Andy, and I would
It
like
might
it
not,
to
you
be.
might be right, David.
Yeah. And I would like it to be because it's come up as an issue at the DRB before. And we've received counsel saying that that we can approve an application even if it doesn't have state permits.
Okay, so Andy, this was the question we asked Danielle, remember?
Yep.
So I had found some language where I asked the question, can the town issue a permit that violates a state law? And the answer I found is it cannot.
Mhm.
But didn't we hear that somebody did do that or?
Well, yeah, they
Yeah.
did, but it doesn't mean they got caught.
They did.
Danielle
Well,
did agree.
hold
with-
on. There needs to be some clarification here. When the town issues a permit, it doesn't violate a state law.
No, but they may be issuing a permit that is in violation
Yeah.
of what the state would require.
So
Yeah.
so that's definitely not what's at issue with the DRB.
No,
What is at issue is that the DRB could issue a decision and then make state permitting a contingency.
Yep, which, I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
no,
Because,
Well, but that
Somebody-
goes against this idea of sequencing, right?
well, not really, because somebody gets approval from the DRB, they still have to go back to Danielle and get their building permit, right?
Because even if they have an approval from the DRB, she can't sign the permit until the state licensing is in place.
That's exactly right.
So the DRB could issue a decision contingent, and then Danielle has the process in place to actually exercise that.
Yes,
I think we need to put that in the bylaws.
okay, well, let's, yeah,
No, I want to keep talking about this for a bit because, so Andy, like I've seen permits that the town has issued.
mhm.
And in that permit, they explicitly state that the applicant is responsible for getting all state,
Yeah,
federal
that's the
permits.
general statement.
I understand what David's trying to say is. Let me try to go practically and let's see if we can get back to this. Practically, if somebody goes to Danielle, here's what I want to do. Let's just say she misses the fact that it needs a state permit and they don't check the little box that they need a state permit. A town permit is issued.
Mhm.
People are like, I got my permit.
Yeah,
And away they go.
yep. That conceivably could happen.
And I actually think it works like. I got my shoreland permit. I don't necessarily need to go to the town. I also have, and I haven't analyzed them enough. I also believe there've been some US Army Corps of Engineers that say, here's a permit. And nobody goes to shorelands, wetlands, or the
Hmm.
town.
That probably happens, yeah.
That's kind of a mistake.
Yeah. But you're sort of fixing it by referencing all of those permits here,
That was part of the
Yeah.
intent.
right?
I mean, in truth, we don't need any of this. Right? In truth, you could eradicate everything related to shoreline in here and the people are still responsible.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely the case.
We're trying to be a little nice,
Yes.
and I'm not against that. I'm just
No,
saying.
just
we're-
making people
We're trying to
aware.
be proactive.
Yeah, yeah.
So David, where would you suggest?
I'd have to look at it, but I'd be happy to do that.
And I'll look at it as well.
So state that again, David. I got lost in my thought.
If we require the zoning administrator to make sure that the state permits are in place before they sign off on a local permit, that requirement should be in our bylaws. Currently,
Yeah.
it's a requirement,
that's
and
simple
it's a
enough,
requirement
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
process.
No,
It's not in our bylaws.
and that's simple enough to put in there.
So Andy, that's really a request. That's a suggestion from the DRB.
No, it's not
Yeah.
actually.
Well,
Oh, it's not?
No,
I mean, in other words, it's not on the
not.
document that,
DRB list. We decided at the DRB that this was not in our bailiwick, that this was a planning
Yep.
commission question.
okay.
Oh, no, I guess what I'm referencing, Andy, is I thought the DRB is giving you suggestions.
They are, absolutely, but their
this is
suggestions
not
are
one
gonna
of
be
them.
based on things that directly impact the DRB.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
And where the DRB landed was, we can issue a decision with a state licensing contingency. The concern that I have is that we have that process in place so that the ZA can't sign the town license, the town permit, without the state licensing required, that is documented in our bylaws. And
Yeah,
not just a process.
yeah, no, I agree that, for some reason, I'm thinking that we had some language in there, but I'll trust you. We'll look at, let's, both you and
Yeah,
take-
I could be wrong, Andy, but I'm not familiar with it. I've looked a couple
Yep.
times.
Okay,
So this statement, it feels like it's lost a little bit of weight.
Yep.
And the question is, do you want it in there or not? I'm on certificate of shoreland compliance.
oh. Yeah,
No, I
that-
think
that-
we shouldn't touch it at all.
I agree.
Okay. Setbacks, I did put back in 100 feet from mean water line.
Just to go back,
Oh, okay.
I'm on section 2.3B, which is, zoning permits issued by the zoning administrator. The last paragraph says, local permits do not absolve the applicant from obtaining applicable state and federal permits. The applicant is responsible for obtaining relevant state and federal permits. And should contact the regional permit specialist. So we do address it. I don't know if we need to get more specific than that.
I guess my question is, maybe I missed it.
Yeah.
This statement should have replaced that.
It probably should have at the end, 2.3, yeah. That would be another good place to put it.
Check section.
2.3 paragraph B. I think you just replace the paragraph we have with your paragraph.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's what's
And I
being
just-
proposed, right? In the document?
Yeah. right.
Yeah.
I just might have.
Yeah, I
missed
think
it.
that's right.
Okay,
Okay, so in setbacks, I put in the 100 feet from mean water line. I mean, I know we had 75. 100 feet is consistent with the state. It technically will keep people out of trouble.
yeah.
Can
Well-
we come back to this section B? Do we want to wordsmith or should I do that separately?
If we want to wordsmith now, I think it would be great to get this done.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you're just gonna take, yeah,
The thing I would recommend is local permits do not absolve is kind of a double negative.
mhm,
And I would say we might be better off just saying local permits require. Please note, local permits require.
that.
The applicant must
state and
obtain
federal
applicable.
permits.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Okay, let's say this one more time. Local permits alone do not absolve the applicant. What would you like?
I would propose local permits require the applicant to obtain applicable state and federal permits
Require the applicant.
to
To
obtain. Right, so it says the same thing, it's just that a double negative is weaker.
Yeah. yeah, I'm fine with that.
Local permits require. Local permits require the applicant.
To obtain state and federal permits. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, got it. Local permits require the applicant to obtain state and federal. permits.
Applicable state and federal permits,
Applicable.
or, yeah, whatever.
I'm an applicable guy.
Yeah, thank you.
No, and so I should try and pull this up, but a great reference document
Mhm.
is the town permit.
Yeah,
It's interesting, that actually is much more clear than the development regulations. 'Cause you
Yes.
gotta check.
yeah,
And I know people are like, oh, I don't need a wetland, but the fact is. The wetland check is there and the
Yep.
shoreland check is there and the Army Corps check is there
Yeah.
and
Oh,
boom,
yeah.
boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
Okay, local permits require the applicant to obtain applicable state and federal permits. Good. All right, I'm gonna highlight that because I'll have to change it in other spots.
Yeah.
Let's just do it that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll try one more time. Setback, 100 feet from mean water.
well, you still got 70, and I may have given you a previous version when I sent you I thought it was the right one. It should also show up in the left-hand column,
Over here.
yeah, because that 75 feet was our old regulation, and then when we updated it, we referenced the Shoreland Protection Act. So I'm not sure how you ended up with
you know.
The recommendation, Andy, that's coming from the DRB is for 100-foot setback.
Yeah, okay, oh, okay, I wasn't sure if you're gonna end up at 75 or 100, so.
Yeah,
So the
we ended
planning
up at a-
commission will have the 100-foot recommendation from both this subcommittee and the DRB.
Exactly, yeah.
Misha will love this.
I'm sure he will.
Now, this,
It will be, well, I won't, yeah. It will not be a unanimous approval from the planning commission, but
And it may not get approved.
it may not get approved. And then even if the planning commission approves it, it needs to take the next step and go to the select board.
Well, I think that will get approved there. I'm not sure.
Probably,
I'm not sure.
probably. Okay.
so now I'm on section 5.7 lot coverage. I actually think this is a really important. So in all zoning districts except the conservation shoreline district, the maximum area on a lot permitted to be covered by buildings and other structures is 20% of the lot area. All buildings and structures must, it's interesting, now that I'm reading this again, except the conservation shoreline district, so you have removed them,
Yeah,
but you haven't put them back in anywhere. So then the statement here is in the shoreline district, 250 feet from mean water level, all impervious surfaces including, but not limited to building and other structures, driveways and patios may be subject to a maximum. I was gonna put a 20% in there, that is the DEC number, but I thought I would just leave it as
Yeah,
a
that's fine.
percent coverage defined by the shoreline.
and the fact you said may be subject, because if, again, my property is in the shoreland district, but it's not covered by the Shoreland Protection Act because I have a road.
Right.
So, but you've got the word may in there, so I think it covers that.
Are you good, David?
Yep.
David. Conditional. I mean, this is really more for you, David. What I was trying to do here is, you know, there was all this like, hey, the town should look at this and this and this and this and this, and there was nothing on shoreline, wetland, or lake encroachment. So I wanted to get something in there. This may need to go, I think, Andy, you and I agreed at least the DRB should probably see this. The
Yeah.
DRB shall consider whether the proposed development complies with all state and federal acts and regulations in effect at the time of application. Evidence of permits or a statement from the appropriate agency stating a permit is not required for a development activity shall be provided by the applicant to the DRB.
So the good news is that this is how the DRB operates today. If we wanted to codify it in the bylaws, you know, as we've been having this discussion about what recommendations should the DRB make for the planning commission, we've been thinking through a primary criteria to create consistency, right? How do we manage consistency across a volunteer board that has a constantly changing makeup and also a zoning administrator that has high turnover, right? So I would be an advocate for including this in the bylaws, even though this is a process work that the DRB does today.
Mhm.
It would guarantee that the DRB would do this into the future, even if you had a change of makeup.
Yep.
Okay, wow. Driveways.
So Andy, do you want to take that to Diana?
I can.
Do you want me to take it to Diana? I'm happy to.
Why don't
Whatever.
you take it to her? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Driveway, I was gonna say in my opinion, but it's really not an opinion. I think the strongest statement from the town right now is the 100-foot mean water level. I think that supports the state
Yeah.
very, very well. I think driveways are a little rampant right now. I think, cause I pulled the town permit for a driveway and it's really not a big deal.
No.
It's this.
No, it isn't. Yeah.
And
doesn't go to zoning, it goes to the public works.
You can put a driveway once you've figured out the curb,
Yeah,
you can put a driveway anywhere,
yeah,
and people do.
oh, yeah,
And so I think this is a big
The,
one
the
that'll
challenge
help.
for driveways is setback requirements.
Correct.
Frequently in our existing plats, which are not to code, right? They're like, they're smaller
yeah, in
than
general,
the
that's right.
3 acre or the 2 acre minimums.
Yeah,
Frequently they run into the setback requirements. That's a very common occurrence.
yeah,
Great, well, good.
so I agree with adding this language here.
So under shoreline protection, basically, I just copied the statement. I need to change
Yeah,
this one.
do that one update, yeah.
And did I add anything else? Nope, that was it. So I just updated section B.
Mhm.
And then shoreline stabilization measures, basically. I added statement A, shoreline stabilization measures shall conform to the requirements of the Vermont Shoreline Protection Act and or wetland rules and or USACE and or special flood hazard area. I guess we don't need that. It's up to you, Andy.
No, I don't,
Because
I think that's.
special flood hazard area is covered, I
Yeah.
think, very well.
Yes,
In the bylaws, and I actually think the special flood hazard area, it feels like it's hard to evaluate. But if you do evaluate it, it's the strongest thing we got going to protect the shoreline.
Yeah.
And I think there's like, well, what is this 102-foot thing?
Yeah.
And filling.
one of the reasons for that is really FEMA regulations that have been incorporated in our development regulations. That's why.
It's kind of a mandate.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And I mean, I think if people follow that, the
Yeah.
shoreline is very, very well protected.
Yeah.
Same thing here. Okay, and then because you did refer to what I considered an outdated event, I added the bioengineering manual.
That's good. I'm glad this got, after we got all our updates approved, I went back and looked at this and it did seem a little awkward the way it was before this section.
Yeah.
So I like what you've done here. But just do me a favor, go back up. I just want to refresh my memory as to what it said before. Yeah. Yeah, I think, what you have is much better than that. So,
So
okay.
I have a point of information for the chair. I don't mean to derail this conversation. I was just wondering, according to the agenda, we were supposed to approve the October minutes.
We did.
Okay, great.
There were 3 of us.
Great.
You were kind of like popping in and out. So we didn't know.
I dialed in at 6:01. I'm dialing in 10 minutes early next month.
There you go.
I mean, 6 o'clock, we started. I actually think that's it.
Yeah.
That was too easy, guys. So, I mean, in truth, we've made no rule changes.
No.
And that was intentional, because I think that could drive us crazy.
Yep.
And then we have to think about enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I mean, I'm not sure who I've had this discussion with. After the last, I'm gonna say 6 months. You know, we've gone back and forth with Misha, we've gone back and forth with both on as a committee and I'll even say personally for my stuff. Wetlands, US Army Corps. The challenge is for an individual, it's hard.
It is, yeah.
And all we can do, but I'm actually pretty confident in the state. The presentations we had from Misha and the other presentations, look, you know, I know there was back and forth with the planning commission on the signing of the complaint form.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know what? DEC has it.
Hmm.
And it's there, and you can or you can't. It
Mhm.
can be anonymous.
Yep.
And DEC has it. We don't need to bother the town with it.
Right.
My biggest concern with DEC is, I think Misha sees these things come across his desk and he's got a lot.
Mhm.
And I don't think he necessarily like visits the property,
Right.
looks at things. And so he's just looking at sheets of paper. And I'm not blaming him.
Yeah.
But they're understaffed and they can't send people out.
Right.
to all of
Yeah,
them.
but they do have the ability, I think, to do satellite views,
Yeah, satellite.
live
views.
satellite views. I
Yeah.
think they have that ability.
It's actually pretty good. I've
Yeah,
done,
yeah.
I've done a couple of those, like,
Yeah.
just for like Pilates Point and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But I'm much more content. I wasn't, but I'm much more content that the state has the resources in place to handle shoreland protection.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna back up a little bit on this to give you a little more of what's going on. I think everybody's heard that the EPA came to Vermont and said, you're not doing a very good job in enforcement, specifically towards the farms.
Mhm.
And Julie Moore is
Yeah.
required to come back with a plan
Mhm.
on how they're gonna correct that.
Mhm.
Which is all, so right now the focus is farms. My gut is telling me, and I only know this from the air side, so working on the air side with air pollution and all that kind of stuff. They'll get through the ag side in 10 years,
Mhm.
and then they're gonna find another focus.
Yep.
Right, which could move to residential, new development, so on and so forth. I think the window is 10 years.
Okay.
Where, and all I potentially see happening there is the state may mandate to the towns now.
Yeah.
You have to but this is all speculation on my part.
Yeah,
I'm kind of going on some past experience and looking at.
That's gonna be a
little bit
tough
what's
thing
going-
to fix.
I mean, I did talk to DEC about this and their comment was, we're not gonna comment on it.
Yeah.
But I
No,
mean,
they're-
with the change of administration, do we think the EPA will even exist?
No,
Oh, no, of course it will. Look, I've been doing this, the EPA stuff, how old am I now? Since I was 20. It doesn't, the EPA has always been there and always will be. And I will say I've made a reasonable living off of it.
Mhm.
They will be there. I guarantee it. It's.
Okay, we're gonna quote you on that.
Hit the mute button. No, they're absolutely required. And, I've been through everything and actually. From a regulation standpoint, I'll say the rest of the world is getting significantly more stringent.
Mhm.
There are areas explicitly California. And the bigger cities that still have stringent requirements, those aren't going away.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, that's my opinion.
And then there's China.
Well, yeah, and then there's China. And we don't need to talk about China at our Shoreland
No.
committee. All right, so I guess my goal was, make these revisions, but subject to making these revisions, I'd like a motion that we approve these as a Shoreland subcommittee for presentation to the planning commission for their consideration.
I will make that motion that we approve the proposed changes and with the updates we talked about tonight and present that to the planning commission.
Is there a second?
yeah.
I'll second.
All
The
in favor?
Davids.
Aye.
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 All right. Well, that was fun.
That was good.
I mean, we'll see where it goes, because this needs to go to the planning commission. You'll debate some things. It may or may not need to go to the attorney.
I don't think so. I mean, it will, when we get done at the planning commission, or before we finish, we're gonna go to the regional planning commission and get them to weigh in on it. So that'll be our check.
Okay, they're kind of your legal check.
Yeah, that's our front line. We also have the option to go to VLCT if there is and there's a couple times when the regional planning commission has said, you know, you need to get a legal opinion on this, but I don't see anything here that they're gonna have a problem with.
All right, good. All right, next item on agenda is website. So I guess, I mean, it feels like maybe there's varying opinions around the table on what our website should be. I got through your stuff, David, and I think the right term would be overwhelmed. Because I have to focus on Shoreland. I can't focus on anything else. And so I think I kind of defaulted to, if you, Andy, and David Berenberg wanna revamp a zoning, I'll participate, but I don't want, my brain won't let me go there.
And yeah, David, you and I had some communications back and forth. The issue I have is trying to combine local zoning and shoreland protection.
I think that's right.
Yeah, it sounded.
I think that's right, Andy. The constraint that I was working on, which may not be an actual constraint, was that we don't have a website for shoreland protection.
Well, yeah, but that's what we're talking
Correct.
about here and now.
So do we have any indication that that's okay to create? Because the conversation I had with Corinne suggested that that was not okay.
Really?
Okay, so
And
the,
maybe I'm interpolating, incorrectly. But
well, okay.
that was my working hypothesis, right? Because I think if we can have a separate website, that is absolutely the best approach.
Yeah. Well,
I just
wonder
didn't
if-
understand that that was an option.
Yeah.
so let me respond to that, because I think it's a technical issue. I did talk to Corinne. I thought it was both you and I, David. And we can, as the Shoreland Subcommittee, have our own website. And we can have a link on the town website that goes there.
Okay.
My preference would be if there was a section on the town website that we can exist. And my gut says, David, that she doesn't want or literally can't add us into the town website, with the exception of a link maybe on the zoning site, or maybe the main site. Maybe we just need clarification
Yeah,
on that.
I think. Yeah, as long as there's not a problem with the concept of having a website, it's just how you access it. Because I when you first said that, I was thinking, well, maybe we got to go to the select board to get permission to come up with a website. But it sounds like it's more of a technical issue than.
I'm confident, and my brain isn't working that great. I'm confident she said we could have a standalone website with a link from.
Okay, well,
You did say
town.
that at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know how many meetings ago.
yeah, I recall you did say that, so, yeah. I mean, if that's the best we can do, so be it.
Yeah.
So then the goal was to develop a website that further supports the bylaws. Again, I'm trying to keep the rules of wherever absolutely possible, we can use DEC resources or other resources
Yeah.
and simply reference them.
Yeah,
I think it keeps us out of this, oh, you told me I could do this and I did it and now I'm in trouble.
right. Absolutely want to avoid that.
So I mean, the document I sent out was nothing more than a template. I looked at a bunch of websites.
Yeah.
All right, I was like, hey, this is kind of the new format for websites.
Yeah.
Right, and then what do we want in all the boxes? But I guess the question is, before we waste too much time. Because there is gonna be a cost to this.
Mm-hmm.
That
All
was
I
the
can do-
other reason to leverage the town website, is that there's no cost to that.
All right,
Like, that's something that we could implement, you know, in 2 months.
so. All right, so what are we trying to accomplish here? The ideal scenario is we go to Corinne and say, Corinne, can we have a shoreland protection section on the town website? And
That's right.
if she says yes,
Then we're good to go.
then we're good to go and we can kind of come up with information, so on and so forth. If she says no, then I'm like, can we have a website with a link on the town that goes there? And if she says no, we're dead in the water.
Yeah.
If she says yes, well, then we can work on content and so on and so forth. There still is an issue, and it's not a big one, but like to host a website is like $20 a year. Type sort of stuff. But then there still will be. I mean, I do believe, number one, yeah, could we sit around and say, hey, we want this on the website? Absolutely. I'm more of the website is what you are.
Mhm.
And when I've started companies, I start with the website. And even the employees and say, let's build our website, because then everybody owns it and it's what they want the company to reflect as. But I guess let's see what
Yeah,
Corinne
see what you
says, and then
find
we
out.
can address this at the next meeting.
And are you thinking that if we decide to go ahead with a website, and we want it to be as good as possible, that we would try to get some funding to hire a consultant to help us put that together?
Yeah,
Would
so
that be the ideal situation?
the ideal situation is we go to the board,
Yeah.
a select board, and they say, yeah, we'll give you 10 grand.
Ooh.
Not gonna happen.
No, that ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
$500 maybe, you know.
So then alternately, I think, and my only fear is we might have to wait a year. But I think there are other resources,
Yeah, we could
maybe
probably get a grant for something
a
like
grant
this.
from maybe even Northwest Regional.
We could start with them
Commission.
and they could maybe point us in the right direction. Yeah, I think that's a great
Or
idea.
they might have somebody that says, we can build a website for you.
Yeah.
Well, here's
I
a
would
thought, you know, this is not specific to North Hero. Maybe we get them to build it for the region, or even for the state, and any town that wants to can
Yeah,
Yeah.
link to it.
Yeah, that's worth asking them about, yeah. In fact, I think I'd do that before I even went with the select board. See if we can get their
Okay.
help and maybe a grant or something.
all right, so, okay, so
Or
there's.
get them to take on the project.
Yeah,
So there's a couple discussions that we have to have, and I'll reach out, because I have a meeting tomorrow with Dean,
yeah, he'd be a good one to ask.
and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
I also know of some funding sources.
Yep.
And
Oh, you're
You
meeting
know-
tomorrow with Dean Heller?
Pierce.
Dean Pierce.
Dean Pierce, okay.
Northwest Regional Planning Commission.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's a senior planner.
Okay, all right, I got direction on that, so given a few minutes, David, I'm gonna send this to you. I'm actually reasonably excited about this. Cause I think we're gonna get funded. How am I gonna get it there? Give me your email, David.
You have it right down at the bottom.
Oh, it is?
Don't, no, it's
No.
not there now. Go. You have to go-
Eric@gmail.com, DEHRICH.
D,
I saw it at one point.
give it to me again slowly.
DEHRICH.
There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
We got it.
W.
don't look at this, guys. This is like business stuff, and I'm gonna get in big trouble if I'm promoting this where I shouldn't be. Where is it? What did I do with it? Oh, there we go. Let's do that. All right, it's on its way. All right, so, let me just run through this real quick. I mean, there's really no actions or anything like that, but, Tracy came to me, he's like, hey, we got potentially, if this keeps happening, we're gonna lose our road. David, this is Pilots Point. We brought DEC out, Northwest Regional Planning.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow,
Yeah.
these things,
And
these
who's
projects.
Tracy?
Yeah, these projects are
Yeah.
agonizing.
So who's this presentation going to?
The Basin Water Quality
Okay.
Council.
All right. And because they might be providing some funding for it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It's a direct lake project, 200-foot private lakeshore with town road impact, approximately 5 feet from town road in spots. It's non-regulatory. It's outside V-Trans and town regulatory requirements, MRGP. Is that right, Andy? MRGP or so, there's some.
Yeah.
State requirements, initial owner consent to evaluate. It's a combined shale, dirt, erosion with plant impact. It's about 10 feet tall. And it's eroding.
And this is shortly right at the beginning of Pilots Road, right after you come off from Station Road.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a little bit further up. I would say it's about halfway.
Oh, is it up further? Okay.
You know where the big field is when you pass the red barn on the right that has the
Yep.
that has the eagle nest on the top?
Yes. Okay, okay.
It's
Yeah.
past there. If you're biking up the hill right there, on the left-hand side, there's a guardrail. And that
Yeah.
guardrail was put in the last time that this road was
Okay.
redone.
Yep. Got it.
And that's this area.
Okay.
So to date, a site review's been done. There is a report from Lakes and Ponds. Allison, she did the Lakewise. She's sharp. I thought she was just a Lakewise person, but she knows her stuff. This is really important. We have a project ID from DEC. That's a
Great.
big step. We've identified the phosphorus calculator. It's interesting. I sent out a request for a quote to some engineering consulting firms. It was roughly, I was hoping 1,000, 1,500, couldn't get their attention.
Yeah, they're all busy.
So basically what I did is I went to the Clean Water Service Provider, which is the Basin Water Quality Council. The good news is I happen to be chair, so it's easy to talk to these people. And we need some projects. So DEC gave us a conceptual design. Pretty straightforward stuff. And then this gets a little, this is really important. So DEC has now put out this tool, and there's about 50 project types on it. And if your project, and that's why we got to look at your cliff.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. If a project fits on there, then there's a tool, and if you can calculate phosphorus,
Wow.
then there's a potential to get funding.
Wow.
So they have this, and I went to the interim phosphorus reduction calculator. I did the calculations, and we're anywhere between 5 and 20 kilograms of phosphorus eroding into the Broad Lake, which is a lot. It doesn't sound like it, but that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what the calculator showed, and scientifically, the calculator is well-based. I'm pretty happy with it. So all the things, I got a checklist going. The project type has been identified, the phosphorus calculator, non-regulatory, initial owner and town consent, project ID. We're gonna need town consent because it's in the right of way. There is a conceptual design. The next events are to go to a 30% to final design. That hasn't obviously been done yet. We need money for that. I've identified all the permit requirements. I just haven't gone the next step of, hey, here's a permit application and so on and so forth. It's definitely gonna hit shoreline restoration, which is the state, special flood hazard area, which is the town. It's gonna hit Army Corps because it's less than 98.5. And there's this new thing, which is an archaeological review required by the state.
Well,
That is hard to get through.
No kidding. I can tell you that our water tank project was delayed by months and months because we had to do that.
Okay, so I may be tweaking you on that one, Andy,
Yeah.
because that seems to be holding a lot of things down.
Oh, yeah, it will.
I've been kind of floating around at who's gonna manage this, most likely Northwest Regional Planning. Dean is gonna help manage this
Yeah.
project. It's not gonna be a cheap project, but it has great impact. So a lot of research, minimum cost of the project is gonna be about 70 grand. Maximum cost is gonna be about 200. We have some design engineering estimated at 40, project management at 10. So it's gonna be a $250,000 project. This doesn't mean anything to you right now, but the state evaluates all these projects based on its phosphorus reduction cost efficiency.
Yeah.
So $6,000 per kilogram of phosphorus is a great project.
Okay.
$50,000 is the limit. If we go over 50, it's not gonna happen. This project, I think, is gonna land in the 15 to 20, $25,000 range. I'm highly confident it'll be funded.
Great.
Tomorrow is just gonna be a preview. And then December will be a formal presentation and a vote for the funding.
This is what you're doing tomorrow at your meeting? Yeah.
Great.
So tomorrow's just hey, here's what's going on. I'm not gonna show too many numbers in that.
Right.
And then there'll be a formal proposal due in December, submit that, then the December meeting, there will be a vote. And I'm pretty confident this thing's gonna move.
That's good.
I think it'll be great for the Shoreland Subcommittee and all that kind of stuff. And again, I know I said it in the beginning, anybody that wants to participate on these projects, hop in. They take a while.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of people you gotta talk to, and we haven't even gotten into permitting yet. So that'll be a whole nother event. So that's just, here's what's going on.
Yep.
On the project.
Very good.
So with that, I'll take a motion to,
I move to adjourn.
Second. David-
all in favor?
David's already asleep.
Aye.
Aye.
See you, David.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you next month.
Hey, Andy, who's, are we off?